Okay, let's go.
We're going to close tonight right here in the Commonwealth. Um, and there are a couple of stories that have come across, and we're going to talk about the one here in a second that everybody is joining us to find out about. But these are big Blue Nation stories that fans need to know about. We start with football. Fort Mitchell Beechwood four-star wide receiver Tyler Fryman ranked 152nd overall in the 2027 class, second best player in the state of Kentucky, and the number 31 wide receiver in the country by Rivals, who's also a four-star wide receiver, decommitted Tuesday morning from Louisville. Now, here's the part of the story that makes it especially compelling. Fryman was actually not committed to Louisville to play football. Let me get that widget off there that is going crazy. He was not there. He was not committed to Louisville to go to football. He was committed to Louisville to play baseball.
Yeah.
Will Stein and the Kentucky football staff have been recruiting the dual sport athlete for months, and over the weekend, Fryman was on campus in Lexington for an official visit. His baseball season had just ended. Beechwood lost in the state tournament quarterfinals to Trinity, which freed him up to focus entirely on football recruiting, something that he hadn't done up to this point. A Sea of Blue called Kentucky the team to beat heading into his commitment. KSR called Tuesday's decommitment from Louisville baseball step one, with step two being an expected football commitment to Kentucky. For context, recruiting analysts have already compared Fryman's ceiling to Dane Key, who played at Kentucky, the best receiver prospect to come out of Kentucky in recent memory. And Will Stein would be flipping a Louisville commit in a completely different sport and locking up one of the most coveted in-state skill players in the 2027 class. This is also comes the same day Kentucky lost four-star receiver Ivion Lewis, who flipped his commitment from UK to South Carolina. So landing Fryman has added urgency, and we're watching the commitment announcement. But I'll go ahead and tell you right now, Big Blue Nation, this kid on his Twitter has already changed his profile picture to him in a UK football uniform. So that commitment is coming.
And he's fast, and this guy's fast.
This guy's burner speed. Four-star wide receiver. We saw the decommitment. He had been committed to the University of Louisville for like 3 years in baseball, and he decommits. He's a dual sport athlete. Obviously, we don't know if he's going to be trying to play at the University of Kentucky for baseball as well. But what does landing a guy like Tyler Fryman in a 2027 class that is already top 20-ish class? Yeah. That's impressive for Kentucky football. What does that mean for the direction of this Kentucky football program under Stein?
Well, just an explanation on something. In college basketball, when the high school players, everybody's going after the top 20. Right. In college football, it's the top 300. If you're anywhere in that top 300, you're an elite athlete, and everybody's coming after you. So for us to land somebody like that's a receiver, that's fast, that's an all-around athlete, that's going to be a good commit to the player we just lost. We might even improve over the player we lost.
I not only do I think that is what will happen, I think this is potentially something that was in the back of the minds of Will Stein and those guys. They knew he was coming down here. There was no panic on him. And I think that was the impressive part about it. It was like, next man up. Let's go get, the number 2 receiver in the entire state.
And we're getting more and more of this from Will Stein. And then you're seeing the players' comments on Twitter. They want to come play for him because they say he's an offensive genius.
Yeah.
For what he did at Oregon with that high-powered offense that the Oregon Ducks had without him.
I love being on X and watching the Louisville heads explode on X.
Yeah,
we are obviously living rent-free, and that was one. You say anything about UK football, like this kid, decommitting from Louisville baseball, but then committing to Kentucky, and they're like, oh, about to have a 3-win season. Why would you want to go there? They can't focus on their own team. Right. They're so angsty.
That's the big brother, little brother thing. And it's always Kentucky. We don't attack Louisville, or we just general conversation, but we don't live and die with who they get and who they lose.
I didn't
But
even
they
know
know everything. They know as much about the UK various
not
sports
more.
that the BBN does.
Yeah.
That just always fascinates me, and it's fun to get in college smack talk with North Carolina fans, Duke fans, Tennessee fans, Florida fans. But man, it is just so much more fun to do it against Louisville fans.
Oh, it truly is. I will say this. I agree. Georgia's right here. Will
Yes,
Stein
he
is
is.
a breath of fresh air for our program.
He's
Totally
exciting.
agree, George. Totally agree. It is. It
That's
is.
some of that country club air for the Will Stein's bringing Kentucky in it, Kyle.
Well, I'll also say this.
Inside joke.
But before we get into the Kusturica circus that's going on here,
This was big.
yeah, Angela says she can't believe that Jaden Quaintance got picked over Otega Owe. We were shocked that Jaden Quaintance went at 20. I wasn't shocked that Otega Owe didn't get picked in the
Right. He's second rounder all the way.
but I was surprised. Craig, you watched the entire draft.
Yeah, I
You're
watched the whole draft.
a bigger NBA guy than me. Your thoughts?
They never mentioned JQ until this pick. His name didn't come up with any of the panelists until we got down to the 20th pick. And now San Antonio, who was a championship caliber team, and we've said that San Antonio, Oklahoma, and Houston are the future of the NBA. Now, with JQ going to San Antonio, and if he is 3/4 as good as he looked as the NBA combine, they got a steal. They got a steal with this guy who's quick, powerful, got long arms. He's got a reach of over 7 feet. I mean, one of the longest reaches in the whole first round. I mean, they got a steal at 20 if he's healthy. But they're so good, San Antonio's so good, they can afford to take a chance on him. And I think he dropped way too far. I thought some other teams would pick him up early. All the prognosticators were saying he was going in the 25 to 30 range. But when he went at 20, I'm happy because I like San Antonio.
I see what Angela's saying here too. Based upon what you saw on the court, it appeared that Owe was a better player. I'm telling you right now.
He's 6'9" versus 6'2".
Yeah, well, he's not six. Owe wasn't 6'2".
I thought he was 6'2".
No,
check. I'll look it up while you're talking.
But what I'll say is that Jaden Quaintance. You and I have seen the combine stuff that Jaden Quaintance has been doing.
Gosh.
He is a freaking beast. And in fact, one NBA analyst that we watched said that JQ may be the best defensive player in the draft.
In the draft, that's right.
The entire draft. So, take that for what it's worth.
And he was so. I mean, he's 6'4". It was so. You got it. You win this time.
Yeah.
It was so. I hated it that he didn't play for Kentucky. I hated that his agent shut it down. Totally understand it though, because you're talking some serious money, and this will be like our 28th
world, or a different world.
A whole different. You're getting into business, so he's got to be healthy. And man, I think he's going to be, because all the health things from the combine said he is 100%. So 100% JQ, I think will be getting. Even though San Antonio's so good, I think he'll be getting a lot of minutes with them early on.
Well, entirely possible. I mean, anytime you can, bring in a guy.
De'Aaron Fox too. Don't forget.
Yeah, and anytime you can bring in a guy with a 7'3" wingspan, I mean, it's always beneficial. I don't know how anybody's going to score on San Antonio next year.
That'll be our second Kentucky player.
He will.
Even though he only played 4 games, it's still our second. He's a Kentucky player.
We'll claim him, right? So
and during the draft, him and Owe both had UK gear on.
Right.
So don't forget that either. Even though he didn't play, he's still a UK player.
Yeah.
We can still claim him. So
4 games, right? 2 games.
4 games. But man, he was good in those 4 games.
Especially that first one. Goodness gracious. Yeah. Well, and then there is the Nikola Kusturica situation, circus / whatever you want to call it, which has become one of the more entertaining recruiting soap operas in recent memory. And for all of you in Big Blue Nation, let's point something out real quick. 95% of you didn't know Nikola Kusturica's name. 10 days to 14 days ago, right?
Right,
And
yeah.
now he's the number one player that we're all focused on, and that is what college recruiting late in the entire rotation actually is like these days. So this has become, just something that is a bit of a circus as well. Here's where things stand as of tonight, and we'll give you some of the information we have. Kusturica is a 17-year-old, 6'8" Serbian wing currently playing for FC Barcelona. He was the MVP of the 2025 FIBA U16 Eurobasket tournament. 20.7 rebounds, 3.4 assists per game, gold medal. NBA Draft Room currently has him projected number 2 overall in the 2028 NBA Draft. Because of his age, he must play 2 seasons of either college basketball or someplace else before he can actually into the NBA Draft. Meaning whatever school lands him gets a projected lottery pick for potentially 2 full years. Last week, and we went through this, last week 24/7 recruiting analyst Travis Branham locked a crystal ball prediction for Kentucky with a confidence level of 7 out of 10. Big Blue Nation went appropriately crazy, Craig. I mean, everybody was bananas.
We did.
We went live on the air. 24 hours later, Branham pulled the prediction and reported that Michigan and UCLA now look like the 2 primary schools Kusturica is deciding between. Then Jeff Goodman of the Field of 68 said on the podcast that Kentucky is still the clear favorite and that sources told him that money Kentucky is offering is, quote, huge. KSR's Jack Pilgrim said on Sunday radio that every major program in the country has been after Kusturica, but it feels like it's coming down to Kentucky, UCLA, and Michigan. And Pilgrim specifically noted that Kusturica's agency appears to be spreading intentional misdirection to drive up the price, with the reported asking price in now the tens of millions over 2 years.
He'll stay in Europe for that.
Yeah, to make it more interesting. What makes this even more interesting is that Dusty May then leaves Michigan for the Dallas Mavericks Monday morning, and Michigan has yet to hire a permanent replacement, which should theoretically hurt the Wolverines' chances significantly. A decision is expected before or shortly after the FIBA U17 World Cup, which starts Saturday, June 27th.
And runs for 2 weeks, doesn't it?
It runs for 2 weeks. But here's the thing that, well, it runs for 10 days. Here's the thing that people have to understand is that all of this being said, and Ben Roberts on ESPN, and we'll read this too, he believes that Kentucky's chances with Nikola Kusturica are fading. And
I don't.
And I do not think that is true. Craig and I have a number of people that we talk to that are close to the scene. We don't think that it's necessarily over. And Michigan getting out makes things a little weirder. We had some people comment on one of our videos the other day that basically said none of the Michigan guys would come to Kentucky. Trust me, some of the guys would come to Kentucky.
It don't matter, just as long as they leave Michigan. I don't care where they go.
Well, and the problem for Kusturica at this point is that Kusturica is not the individual who is going to want to go against, say, a McKinney, who people will go after immediately, and they may put Kusturica on the back burner at this point. And that's not great for him in multiple aspects.
Yeah, think of the strategy of it. 4 days ago, and later than that, he had all the power. His agent, as George said, his agent's the problem. They had the power. But when Dusty May went to Dallas, and all the players can now, how many days have they got, Kyle, that they can transfer out with no problem?
There'll be a 30-day window that will start when they hire a coach. Now,
they've got the acting coach coming in, right?
And I'm if somebody in the comments wants to comment about this, I don't know if and they've only listed him as interim coach.
Right. Well, that's what I meant.
If an interim coach qualifies under that NCAA rule, then this weekend everything will open back up.
But so you look at Michigan, no head coach, the coach who's had a rocket rise to the NCAA championship last year. He's gone. The players the players that Dusty May convinced to come back and not go in the draft. I wonder what they're thinking now. But they could transfer to any school in the country, and as one goes, then it'll encourage another one to go. they could wipe out their team. They could lose 7 or 8 players, or they could lose none. Who knows?
But the
But
problem
so
with
that
that is so few teams have openings and so few
right,
teams have NIL money to
LSU.
compete against this. Well, LSU has, I mean, they're gonna be they're gonna be getting guys,
Yeah,
running
but so
open practices.
Michigan is in disarray. If he's a good agent, UCLA's toast just because of California's high taxes. I've made a post on that. If they signed him to $4 million, he'd get to keep around 1.77 million of the 4 million because the rest of it would go to taxes. So why in the world would you even consider any school in California or New York, period?
I don't know anybody that wanna be coached by Mick Cronin. I mean, I don't know
Right.
why you wanna be coached by Mick Cronin.
Somebody posted when I made that detailed post, said Mick Cronin has got the most boring offense in all of college basketball. So why that was another reason not to go there. So I don't know how it can't be anybody, but Kentucky's a favorite. I don't care what these guys say. I don't see it logically, but of course, sports is not logical. Logically, how is Kentucky not the number one school?
Well, and the other aspect of that is even if he comes here, he has some skill sets that some guys already have. We have Cam Williams, we have Milan Momcilovic, but again, a lot of people have to remember his agent, who was working for a 2-year deal, wanted a minutes restriction on him. They wanted to be guaranteed that he was not going to be, load heavy on minutes and output per
Right, and he wouldn't be on Kentucky.
he would not be. And he would be set up in year 2 to essentially fill the Momcilovic role, although
Right,
he's not a great three-point shooter, but he's a long, um, uh, 4 that can get to the basket.
and he can play defense,
And he
where
can play.
Momcilovic doesn't have D in his alphabet.
No, he sure doesn't.
But
No.
he would. Pope even said he would have to earn his minutes, like we've heard other players,
Correct.
put their own videos out on X saying, "Hey, we weren't promised nothing. We're going to have to earn our minutes," and that's why the 2 guards are playing so well. And Pope said yesterday that they were the MVPs of the first week.
Yeah,
So
and I'll give
he ain't gonna walk in and take over because
no.
that would totally throw the harmony of the team off.
And in fact, I'm kind of at this. A lot of people said over, I read X all day long, and people are saying like, let's just roll with the team we got. We like the team that we have. Let's see what we got. Listen, if Trey McKinney becomes available, or if some of these other guys become available, you take a spot up shooter that can knock it down.
Oh,
You
yeah.
figure it out. But I
It
want to
just opens up more underneath.
absolutely. I want to give credit to Channel 18 LEX out of Lexington. I've been watching their Big Blue interviews they've been doing with the incoming players. Good on them, because finally local media is doing their best to attempt to bond a team together instead of tearing a team apart.
Right.
They're not doing individual stories. I mean, they are doing some individual stories.
It's cool that their players are interviewing each other.
And they're letting the 3 guys who have been at Kentucky interview these guys. You get to learn some of their personalities through these questions. It appears that Cam Williams is the jokester of all of these guys.
Yeah.
Trent Noah is the one that the president, as I think one of them called him, that he's the guy that will be in leadership at some point.
And he's bringing the young guys in. He's being like their ambassador on top of that.
Yeah, absolutely. And listen, I know a lot of us have given Trent Noah, including myself, have given Trent Noah a hard time over the last couple of years. There was a guy named Cameron Mills that for the first couple of years while he was at Kentucky did not do anything, but then his junior and senior year came along and became the spot up shooter that we needed him to be.
Hit some important shots through that season.
Hit some classic shots.
Right.
We seared into our memories forever. You guys have to understand that as their bodies mature, after they hit the weight room and they start feeling it, but also the bonding of these guys. We learned in one of the interviews that Malachi Moreno and Zoom Diallo had played on rival AAU teams over in Italy.
Yeah.
When they had gone in the Nike Summit or something when they were over there. And they talked, they remembered the games they had played together.
And who won the most?
Oh, who won the most? And when you beat us in Madison Square Garden, but we beat you in Italy. I mean, these guys are competitive. but they are also bonding immediately. And the other thing I want to say about those interviews, and I give great credit to LEX and those guys who did those, great guys up there. But the other thing I want to say about that is, um, they allowed these guys to be themselves. It wasn't contrived. They just let them be a bunch of kids, and that is what we have to see of these guys. But it also bonds these kids together, and I think that's the incredibly cool thing to see from these guys. And I just want to give credit where credit is due.
And staying on Noah for a second, I've said, you've heard me say it many times on here. If Noah could get his shot off quicker, he could be because in practice, remember, last year they said he hit 88 out of 100 threes. Yep. But then in the games, when he goes around a pick, if somebody comes up on him, he still can't get his shot off. Right. Momcilovic gets his shot off in 0.17 seconds after he goes around and picks. As soon as it touches his hands, it's gone. Reed Sheppard was not doing that well in Houston the first year, but he worked with some coaches, and they got him to launching it as soon as it hits his hands, and now he's not even trade bait for Houston anymore. They don't want to get he's never mentioned in any trades, so they know he's the future. And Shaq and Charles Barkley, they love Reed Sheppard. They love calling his game. So if Trent Noah gets that, then we've got another weapon with Momcilovic and Cam Williams and everybody else. Man, this basketball team is going to be so exciting to watch.
Well, and the last thing I'll say about this is that every new player that they interviewed, every single one, when they asked him why Kentucky, every single one said coming to Kentucky was a dream.
Yeah.
And to me, you and I have lambasted Mark Pope when he talks about you got to find guys that want to play at Kentucky. They got to play. And we kept saying, these aren't the style of players you're going to get. You're not going to get a
new era. Yeah, it's a new era.
That gives a damn about what school he goes to. He just wants to make the most money. But it appears he's found a bunch of kids who genuinely want to be at Kentucky. Yeah. And that will win you some ball games if that actually happens. So good on him. Clearly that's why I'm not the head coach of a
right. We're just Monday morning coaches.
That's right. He knows what he was doing, and maybe he's found his guys to be able to do that.
Well, and Diallo and Wilkins are playing so well from everything we're seeing on X and on Instagram, where the players are acknowledging they're the two leaders on the team, especially Zoom Diallo. And then, you sent me a little video and said, man, watch this guy. I mean, he's got like 1% body fat.
Justin McBride, that dude's.
Yeah. And then, Mason, what's Mason's last name?
Mason Williams. Mo Williams.
Mason Williams he's hanging right there in there with them. And we got Njai.
Let's not forget Njai. They are talking like Njai is balling out.
Right. Yeah, he is just going. I mean, we saw the videos, the ones that we could find. He is so fast on the court. He is so fast. So
3 steps to get
Jerome Morton, the first day, he was the best player on the floor that all the other players acknowledged. So we've got a lot of good players. And like you said, they're all melding together. They're mixing together into a nice little big blue cake. And Kusturica could be the cherry on the top. Kusturica could be the cherry on the top. So that could be that would be it. That'd seal the deal. And we're an Elite Eight team now, I believe. But we get Kusturica. We are a Final Four team. I have no doubt about it.
I genuinely agree with that sentiment. That's probably going to do it today for us, Craig. Anything before we get out of here today?
No, nothing at all. Got some weather coming up this weekend in Kentucky.
We do, and we've had some bad weather over the last few weeks. So you all be ready for that.
The second round of the draft is tonight. Maybe Otega Owe gets picked. Let's hope.
Yep.
So the 6'4" guard from Kentucky.
It is possible that we will get some news tonight during the draft or just prior to the draft as things are getting going. and not just about Kusturica. So,
Yeah, and we still have the most players in the NBA. So the Kentucky players are almost on every team.
yep.
So if you're not a fan of the NBA, it's fun to watch these guys develop as they get 3 or 4 years of adulthood, of manhood on their bodies as they just continue to grow. And man, we have put some great players in the NBA.
Well, and watch this team that we have this year, because there are at least 2 and probably 4 guys who are going to be
Right.
playing in the
Yeah,
pros.
we're still gonna dominate the NBA with UK players.
Yeah. Before we go,
Yeah, let's hit this one right here for the
go ahead.
show. If we don't get Nikola, do you think Pope still fills a spot? Worst case scenario, I think, is one of the walk-ons gets a scholarship. That's the worst thing I think will happen.
You only have 15 spots, no matter whether they're a scholarship or not. But I will tell you this: the thing that yes, we will fill the role.
Yeah,
And it will, if it's not Kusturica,
could be a Michigan player.
It may be a Michigan player, and they have guys who they are talking to overseas right now, that they were already talking to until Kusturica decided he wanted to test the water. So, yes, they're going to fill the role, and I would venture to say that if Kusturica is not the guy, you're still going to know in that same span in the next week and a half or so.
Yeah, I agree.
I just think that's the reality, that you got to get the guys here. It's July,
right? Yeah, that's right.
In 6 weeks, so
yeah,
you got to get things going. So, to everyone who's watching us every night, we can't thank you guys enough for spending your Wednesdays with us. If tonight gave you something to think about, whether it was in the news section or whether it was in the sports section, go ahead and hit that like, subscribe button as well, and make sure you hit that notification icon so that you're notified every single time we're about to go live. Share it with somebody who needs to be above the noise, because there are a lot of them. Until next time, we want to make sure that you stay informed, stay sharp, stay above the noise. Good night, everybody. Have a great Wednesday evening.